that kind of an exposure as per their experience or as per their age or so. So that kind of experience, some corporate houses are taking in turns very seriously. So they are giving, some of them put them in projects, some of them kind of train them. So they do have, I wouldn't say they have an in-depth feel of a corporate life, but they do have some sense of what the corporate life may demand out of them. So I think they are already a step ahead. And nuances, what is required is, when you join in, you have a very fresh mind. I wouldn't say there's be a, what is required from a entry level person who's joining in. He or she will learn the traits when he or she joins in a corporate house. But yes, if you have to kind of train yourself ahead of taking up that role is, I think looking at the industry, what you're interested or where you applied, even before the interview, you will try to gain some knowledge about the industry, like a FMCG industry, or say oil and gas industry, or a healthcare industry. So what may be required is, I mean, today is an era of information. Just do all the research and then look at what are the issues which that industry may be facing. There'll be some very common issues which will be very common across the industries, no matter what kind of an industry, but there'll be some industry specific issues. So when you go prepared as a starter, you are half a step, one step you're already ahead, then you can kind of prepare yourself half a step ahead. But holistic knowledge comes only when you join in there, because each company may be having some distinct issues, and where you have to sit down, you have to evolve an attitude of sitting down with the business and spending time with the business when you join in there.
That's a very good advice for everyone out there. Ma'am, there's one part of the question I think that has been unaddressed. Like, what can be a good starting point for freshers?
Good starting point for freshers can be that, like during our time, India had signed a TRIPS agreement, and intellectual property rights were really picking up. Now we've done some journey in intellectual property rights. So good starting point is, today's all the companies want to become IT savvy. They are kind of, I mean, just look around, what is it that legal department needs to actively kind of collaborate with, and be very well versed with what is happening around you. One is, yes, I do understand that when you are focused academically, you have to concentrate on your exams, on your course, and 32 exams or 34 exams that you have to pass out during the curriculum and all that. But please open your kind of learning windows towards what is happening around the industry. Take a case study of 3 4 industries and kind of start gaining that knowledge, start reading what is happening around, like this guest lecture which you are organizing and you've been organizing, that is also a learning. So start gaining that knowledge, what is in a kind of happening in the industry now. For in COVID times, all industry faced a lot of challenges which were generic challenges, and we understood the value of technology. So all industries across functions want to digitize their functions more, so that in such eventualities business continuity doesn't get impacted. So now digitization of legal departments has become all the more important. And that was like all across, all legal heads or all legal departments felt that this is the need of the hour, and digitization of legal departments has picked up. So that way, be very kind of open your eyes, ears, everything, to pick up what is going on and what may be the need of the hour. And suppose now digitization has picked up and we digitize legal department. So what is the need of the hour? We need to know how the SaaS agreements and uh, how SaaS agreements work. What are the clauses which need to be there in the SaaS agreement? a legal mind has to be very, very dynamic to kind of bring in those changes. No change can be brought out without legal getting involved. So you have to step up your knowledge, what is happening around you, and accordingly how you can get yourself aligned.
Thank you, ma'am. That was a very good advice for the students out there. So the next question that we have is, if you could throw some light on the hierarchy, what is the hierarchy in an in-house legal department, and how does, like, the promotion and all of these things work?
Different organizations have different hierarchies. It depends upon the structure, how they have structured the legal teams. But broadly speaking, I'll go into the details later on. Broadly speaking, General Counsel has two or three lines of reporting. So the head of the department is a General Counsel, very important position, and their General Counsel's peers are the CFO or other heads of the departments. So we are as a general counsel, as a legal head, you are equal to all your other peers, and they have a dual kind of a reporting. Broadly speaking, one is to on a dotted line, which is like if you are in India and if you're working in a multinational, so one is to the managing director or president of India, and which is a dotted line reporting, and your functional reporting will be to a group general counsel or to a global general counsel who's maybe available in India or maybe sitting outside India, which is a functional reporting.
Ma'am, if you could also throw some light into other positions like the entry level and the
Yeah.
middle level, and how does one get there?
So entry level positions are like either assistant managers or deputy managers or executives. So different organizations have different structures, and these are the entry level positions. Some organizations don't have executive levels; they just start from deputy or assistant levels, assistant manager levels, and then after 3 4 years, the organization, when they feel that the person has gained enough knowledge or enough experience, then they start growing you after 3 4 years. That's an average time, and then you grow into a manager, and then manager from again 2 2 3 years, an average time to give you the next promotion. It may take longer, again depends upon the organization and a person's performance. So every 3 years is an average time that you start growing, and then you go into manage from a deputy or assistant manager to a manager, and then from manager to a senior manager, and then to the general manager, and then vice president, president, whatever. These are the hierarchies. But having said that, a lot of organizations have made the structures very flat, so they don't give any designations. It's either a legal counsel or a senior legal counsel, that's it.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much. So, the next question that we have is that what are the potential limitations of reaching the top hierarchy or maybe joining an in-house legal counsel? Because according to a lot of students and like according to some industry people who are working in the industry, they say that if you join an in-house, join as an in-house legal counsel, you're restricted towards that particular sector only, and your growth opportunities are only restricted to that sector and as an in-house legal counsel. So how do we deal with that? First, is it true, and secondly, how do we deal with that?
I don't think that's true anymore. It all depends upon an individual and as a professional. So, no, it depends upon how hungry you are. So you have to be really, really hungry in this profession because it's a continuous learning. Even today, I'm learning. I can't say after 20 years I know it all. No, I don't know it all. So it's a continuous learning, and a lawyer and a successful lawyer will have to be really, really hungry to learn, to make the bold transitions from industry to industry, or from in-house to practice, or so on and so forth. I firmly believe that it may work for many that they get entry level positions and they get into a corporate, but strong foundation can be laid down if a person has 1 or 2 years stint as in a practice, so that he or she learns the nuances of broad spectrum of law and then joins the industry. So that obviously gives a functional strength. And I don't think transition, once you do that, that there's a strong foundation like 1 or 2 years and then transition to the industry. And I've seen a lot of examples. There were a lot of entry level law firm not students, professionals working with me. And now I've seen them, they've somebody's joined Google, somebody's joined somewhere, and I'm so happy for them, and they are also happy. So during that law firm period, there was a lot of rigor of learning and work that they did or they executed. The knowledge also stepped up quite a lot, and then they joined the profession as an in-house counsel. Now that is a clear strength. So they've seen both the worlds, practice also and in-house counsel also. So anytime they feel that now they need to make a transition back, I think they'll be comfortable doing that because they've seen both the worlds. They'll not feel nervous doing that. And this, by the way, this transition is very common outside India. So people will become lawyers and then they'll feel, okay, now we need to go to in-house role, then they'll go to an in-house role. And law firm partners becoming general counsels has become very common these days. I've seen a lot of law firm partners, senior partners, becoming general counsels of the company.
Thank you so much, ma'am. This, especially your advice on being really hungry to learn was very, very useful and nice. So, the next question that we have is that, like, from your profile, we see that you have worked in a variety of sectors and you have exposure to a lot of sectors, and you were able to switch in in a lot of sectors. So you have certain skills, that is why you were able to switch in these sectors. So if you could throw some light on how we as young law students can develop such skills so that we are also apt in working for in a different in a lot of different sectors.
I think I was lucky. I got good law offices to work for. I mean, there wasn't much payment involved when I started out. So I worked with independent lawyers. I learned the nuances and tried to sharpen my axe to the maximum because I knew that money is not coming in, but learning is coming in. And this will come across handy to me in my personal as well as professional life. So I emphasized more. I'm not saying that's a correct way, but there has to be a fair balance. But I emphasize that. And when I joined the corporate, my general skills or generic skills had become very, very strong. So the drafting part was there. Yes, I was when I joined the in as an in-house counsel, because I had been a litigation counsel. My litigation side was very strong. I knew how to go about. I knew what strategy would work in a court because I had myself represented clients in the courts and all. So that helped me to strategize a lot of litigation in-house and dispose of a lot of litigation. In fact, we were fastened with in one of the organization targets of disposal of 21% litigation, and we thought it's not sales that we are fastened with such targets. But when we sat down to strategize, we were surprised that we could actually dispose of more than 21%. So uh, my contract negotiation, contract drafting skills were not that high when I joined the corporates. That is when I learned on job, reading, and they were. It's not that I didn't make mistakes. I made plenty of mistakes. I got sometimes my seniors were very soft with me. They nurtured me, and there is always an intent to nurture the young minds, and I'm very thankful to them that they nurtured me and made my draftings also strong. And sometimes, yes, they you'll come across both kind of seniors, so be prepared. Like there'll be someone who will be nurturing patiently. They're different personalities, and we have to accept that human factor. And there'd be some who'd be strongly be advising you, no, you're not good there, you have to improve, we give you these many days and all that is going to be a journey. So we should ready ourselves for that journey. um, not get demotivated if even if you get a hard senior or a, some are stronger, and sometimes strength works. So not get demotivated. You need to be very strong in your grit and determination, that if I'm learning, I will learn and I'll move ahead. And going cross industries, I think one thing that really worked for me, and I'm sure it will work with everyone, is when you get a chance to work in an industry, build relationships, across finance, tax, marketing, sales. People move from industry to industry. And when suppose my colleague moved from one industry to another industry, and within the legal department somebody asked that colleague that, do you have any reference or so, so that person may suggest your name. Build relationships. Healthy relationships will never go into a waste. I'm not saying selfish relationships. It's like, be nice, be kind, and it will be reciprocated. So build relationships. And that really worked for me, because if you build relationships on, being kind, being understanding, being human, that really works.
Thank you, ma'am. That is a wonderful advice. I think this profession is all about building good relationships and gaining trust from people.
Yeah.
So, the next question that we have here is that from an employer's point of view, like what are the specific skills that an employer of a corporate house would like to see in the CVs of law students or freshers?
I think drafting, and if you worked in a project, suppose a company has some projects like going on, like maybe some divestment project where your contractual skills will be seen, or you may be fastened with the target that there are 10,000 agreements which you have to look into the assignment clauses and do that. I have done two or three divestments, and I hired throughout. I didn't want a senior counsel to assist me. I hired freshers, and they were believing, because I was working in a tight timeline kind of a situation. Like within 3 months, I had to assign 10,000 contracts to the divested company. So I hired three freshers, and I mean, I'm so glad to share this that all three freshers have gone out and working in very good companies. Now they are almost, some are counsels, some are senior counsels, and working in good multinationals. And I had hired those professionals, and they were put on a task that within 3 months, all 10,000 contracts need to be assigned. What I saw in them is um, the agility. Of course, something somewhere you have to nurture them, and you cannot expect that you're taking a fresh person out of college and he or she will know it all. Somewhere you nurture them, and that is where a person's attitude comes in handy. That attitude to learn, attitude to put in rigor. And I had fastened a target of 3 months closure, but they closed it in 2 months. So that agility, that learning, and that accuracy, that eye for detail, these are some general skills which we look at while hiring people. Some basic knowledge of contracts, then some eye for detail, something somewhere we may ask a question in the interview level to look at an eye for skill. And mostly at an entry level, what is seen is what is the attitude of a person. Is the person willing to learn, put in that rigor, and put in that agility? That is what is, everyone knows at an entry level that a person has to be nurtured. We were all nurtured. I mean, we were not born with everything, right? So everyone knows who's taking a fresher on board that you have to nurture that young talent, young energy, lot of energy, lot of enthusiasm. If it's channelized, it can be really productive for the company.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was again very wonderful, and I'm sure it is going to help us all a lot today. So, the next question on the list is that we see that a lot of in-house counsels perform the function of legal and compliance function. So, what exactly do we mean by legal and compliance function, and what are the skill sets that are required to develop this?
Legal, as I said, there are three broad verticals. One is litigation, one is contracts, and a third is compliances. So legally, these are three broad verticals. So one is litigation. So you need to have that litigation skills to kind of look at the cases, go through the briefs, go and brief the councils, strategize with the councils that what is a way forward in this matter, because all organizations are looking at reduced litigation. So those are the skills that how you can bring about a change in closure. So what are the skills is that you need to read the brief, look at the law, apply the law, and go and speak to the council at the same level. Well, that doesn't come across instantly, but as you go through the brief once, twice, three times, four times, then every time you read, your mind, it opens up new strategies or so. That is how I moved around. Every time I would go and brief a council, even if I've read a brief before, I would definitely go into it again, look at what law is applicable, and what can be done, and throw openly go and throw ideas at a legal counsel whom you are briefing, external legal counsel. Don't just go by external advice. Have your own mind. If you've read the matter, you should have your own mind. You should apply your own reasoning, and have a curiosity of mind to question the external counsel, that how it is and why it cannot happen, why. Take out time with him. They are also like hard pressed on time. I mean, even if it means that working on a Saturday, Sunday, take out time and go and meet them and discuss the matter, because it's a learning stage. And then second is contracts. Contracts, as you read more and more contracts from vendors, from different parties and all, when you start reading vetting, automatically you start developing that skill that this wording needs to be there, this should not be there. At an first glance, you should be looking at a boilerplate clauses. Boilerplate clauses like termination, limitation of liability, IP indemnity, all these, and uh, can you see me? There's some,
Yeah, ma'am. Actually, that's just a message in the chat box. Please
yeah.
continue.
So, yeah, look at a first glance, you should be the contract, as you grow, you will, or industry specific, you may come across contracts which are 300-page contract. So, don't get overawed with the number of pages. First glance, look at boilerplate, and then see whether those boilerplate are falling within, your company's guidelines or not. If not, then inform the business so that they should go back to the vendor or back end party to take up that these boilerplate clauses are not falling within the parameters of your company's policy or so. Then there's no substitute of reading each and every 300 pages of contract, because you may come across hidden clauses which may overrule the other clauses, the boilerplate clauses. So you have to go through all, read. There's no substitute of reading and going in depth. And third is compliances. Compliances in a company are two type of compliances. One is statutory compliances, which are mandated by law. So like you have labor compliances, and you have export control compliances, you have varied compliances like the company secretarial compliances. These are mandated by law. So you're supposed to know that, you're expected to know that. And even if HR compliances like statutory compliances, shops and establishment, Factory Act, and all this, that is taken care by the HR. But HR will frequently come back to you for your support, for interpretation, advices, and all, and you're expected to know that. And then, second part of compliances are internal ethics and compliances of the company. In India, ethics and compliance and legal department, they work together. I mean, there's a merger of compliance, these departments. Overseas, globally, you will see ethics and compliance department is distinct from legal department, but in-house ethics and compliance and legal department are one department. Most companies, some may have different, most companies. In all my organizations, I've performed both the roles, ethics and compliance and legal. Ethics and compliance is a kind of what you call in government is a vigilance role. So any conflict of interest, any complaint on bullying or so, they will come to you, which you need to investigate and then come out as step into a judge's shoes and come out with a decision.
Thank you, ma'am. You've very well thrown light on the different functions that a in-house counsel has to perform in a corporate house. So now, moving on to the next question, we have heard from our seniors and also from people who are already working in law firms that there's a significant difference between the role of a lawyer when he's working in a law firm versus when he's in a corporate house in terms of interacting with people and forming strategies. Like, for instance, in a law firm, your interaction would be with people who are already aware of the law. So there would be no problem with respect to the technical jargon or legal strategies or whatever, because they already know the law. However, if you are in a corporate house, then the people that one is supposed to interact with, they are not well aware of the existing law. So how do you, first of all, how do you handle the technical jargon, and secondly, how does it affect the strategy formation, legal strategy formation, and how do you gain trust of your employer when they are not well versed with the law?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And as a legal counsel, when you join, that is why I emphasized you have to sit down with the business, build relationships over a cup of tea, and uh, tell them more about your function, learn more about their function. And, when you start telling them informally, you are kind of influencing their mindset towards what law says and what they are expected to do. That's an informal kind of an influence that you are wielding. There are going to be situations as an in-house counsel where functions will challenge you. They will say, no, this is not what it's required, we will do this. Don't get overawed by challenges. You have to convince them without losing your cool. You have to retain your composure and calm. That really comes across handy. There are times, when in a meeting room, different functions, there'll be around 20 odd people, and you're the only legal counsel there. So they will challenge, all 20 people will challenge you. So that is where you have to retain your calm, understand their point of view, go prepared, understand their point of view, jot down their points. If immediate reaction maybe, oh no, this cannot happen, don't do that. Mull over it, think over it, and then strategize around it, and then pass on the message why it cannot happen, why it can happen, and if at all a middle way is possible. So today's general counsels or legal department is expected to be more collaborative, and they are known as business partners rather than document keepers or advisors. No, they are not considered as that. And legal counsels, whosoever is, as I said, different companies have different structures. So company may be divided into different verticals of business. So one vertical, say, is looking at personal care, one vertical is in domestic appliances, so on and so forth. As legal counsels, your manager may assign you exclusively for one certain kind of a business. Suppose I'm just taking a hypothetical example. Suppose any person is any legal manager is assigned to domestic appliances. So there you are almost leading that vertical of business, and you are a strategist already. So suppose that vertical wants to launch e-commerce. So you have to go and tell them what is possible, what are the risks, and what is not possible. Read their strategy, understand numbers, that this is the numbers that they are looking at, and this is the timeline where, as a strategy, even if there are some risks and you feel it cannot go ahead, you are expected to strategize with them that how we can make it possible. I mean, as a legal counsel these days, the role has completely changed. You're expected to be an enabler of business, not a disabler of business. But yes, within the parameters of law, you cannot that is where the challenging role comes in, that within the parameters of law, how dynamically you have to think to enable business.
Thank you, ma'am. So the next question that we have is, this isn't with respect to the previous question only. Like you talked about the collaborative role that the lawyers have to perform, and that they have now become business partners and not document keepers. So that is why some of the seniors and some of the students have this doubt that in order to perform this collaborative role as a smart business person, does one need to do a CS course or an MBA course? And like, and if one chooses not to do it, then are they at a disadvantage as compared to others?
I think it depends upon an interest of one person. There's never a right or a wrong decision. You have to make whatever decision you take. You have to own your decisions and make them work in your favor. Doing a CS or MBA will help. Yes, any education qualification it helps, but it cannot substitute for your on-job learning. So it's not necessary, it's not mandatory that you do it. You can learn the same skills on job. Yes, qualification will not be there, but you can learn the skills on job. It's 80% on job learning and 20% qualifications. But if you are a CS, it helps, yes, in understanding numbers, balance sheets and all that. Similarly, MBA, you'll understand business well. You'll definitely acquire some skills, but again, having said that, qualifications cannot come in, it cannot substitute on job learning. So on job learning is the most strong learning that any candidate can have. So I think it's on job more predominant than a qualification, but if anyone has an interest, I mean, qualification does help, but it's not necessary.
Thank you, ma'am. So now we have also received some questions. So one of the question that we've received is how to secure a job in an in-house after working in litigation and doing court-related matters, like how to make that switch, how to apply for jobs in an in-house counsel.
I think I'm a living example of that. I started as a litigation counsel. I worked longer. I worked for 5 years as a litigation, 5 or 6 years as a litigation counsel. I kept applying. I never thought I'll get into a job, by the way, because I kept applying and kept getting rejected. And my practice was picking up. I was applying all my efforts into a practice, and but I kept applying for jobs also. If I saw a good opportunity, I would apply, and so my constant efforts yielded results, and I got into Castrol, my first job that I got as an IP counsel. And yeah, so there's no substitute for trying. Keep trying, keep networking. I think being in practice gives you a broad spectrum of networking. Keep networking, keep attending such conferences, such talks also. All this helps you a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. So now the next question is, we have seen people switching from law firm partners job to a general counsel. So what are the change in the roles and responsibilities pursuant to such switch?
Law firm partner would be more like a lawyer, hardcore lawyer. And as a general counsel, as I said, that you will understand business more because you're in-house. You are uh, completely in sync with the business. They are your colleagues. They meet you every day. They discuss their issues, business issues every day. And when you hear those issues every day, when you join as an in-house lawyer, your almost more than half a day goes into meetings. You're meeting different business stakeholders, you're on calls with different business stakeholders, you're understanding their issues, what they are facing, and you start picking up that business knowledge more. And you start understanding how a business is working. Like some have a distributor um, system, supply chain, distributorship also, where I think a law firm partner may not be privy to these conversations. So as soon as a law firm partner switches role, he starts understanding, he's more in sync with the business. So those are the skills required. Legal skills, he may be stronger because he's already worked in a law firm, but when he switches over, he's expected to learn these skills. And first 90 days for anyone across levels in a company is very, very important. In fact, there is a book by HBR, like my first 90 days, the first 90 days, they are imperative. You have to be an observer in any company in the first 90 days. And it's constant learning in the first 90 days.
Thank you, ma'am. So now we will give the audience a chance to interact with ma'am. You can raise your hand and ask any questions if you have with ma'am, and then we'll take up the questions that we have in the chat box. So if anyone has any questions, please raise your hand.
Anshika, I think there are questions on the chat box if you can take that up.
All right, okay. So Shivani Patnaik has asked a question. Shivani, if you're here with us, would you like to ask this question directly to ma'am?
I think she has already taken it up.
All right, okay. Yeah, Shivani. Yeah, this question has been taken up. So now we have Kiran Chaubey. Kiran Chaubey, if you're here with us, would you like to take this up with ma'am directly? All right, so I'll read the question. Kiran Chaubey says, "Good afternoon, ma'am. I am a third year student of law and I don't have much knowledge of corporate sector. So which law firm will be best for learning things by being a fresher, and which kind of work we should start from if we are starting from the basic level?"
Yeah, there are two questions here. One is which law firm. I think no law firm is good or bad, big or small. It is, as I said, your own learning attitude. You may be in a situation where you're not getting many opportunities. I would suggest, if you're not getting any opportunities and if you got into that kind of an office, then switch over quickly, because each day of learning counts. And so what worked for me, I can talk from my experience. Maybe times have changed now. I prefer to work in smaller individual law offices because I got a lot of opportunity to learn. I never saw the payment part. I saw where I'm getting an opportunity and more meatier work to execute. So I worked in law offices who maybe in 2 or 3 weeks time I was given a brief. I was handed over a brief and go and argue before a high court bench. And as I said, we all start out maybe sailing in the same boat. Though I thought I had done my homework in on that brief. I had read, I had prepared notes and all this, but still, practically things are different than your own preparation. When I faced the bench, the honorable justice, he asked me that I was handling a criminal law brief. It was a bail matter, that how many accused are there and are they in the same FIR or different FIR. And I hadn't applied my mind during preparation to look at that. These are practical aspects which you pick up on job, and I was lucky that I joined these offices and they gave me work, which they thought I could handle. And I learned everything on job, and after that I never forgot that I have to look at, are there multiple FIRs? Are there only one FIR or so? So these are small basic tips. And I mean, where you feel and you sense that you will get to learn and have an open chat when at the point of entry. Be bold and have an open chat that you are there to learn, and if you would be getting some meteor opportunities to learn, and be open.
Thank you, ma'am. So we have another question from Shachi Gambhir. She asks that, ma'am, presently law firm jobs equate to glamour among law students. As a young professional, what nudged you in the direction of a counsel at business houses rather than picking a law firm job? I think that's a very good question, ma'am. Very relevant for all of us.
Yeah, it spelled glamour for me also. I would look at as a youngster 20 years back, I was like, oh wow, law firm job, good disposable income, and whatever personal goals you have, you could execute if you have good disposable income and all. I also applied for n number of firms. Those firms are now working for me, and I never got. Some were very nice. They gave me an opportunity. I came from a small town. I came from Chandigarh, so they gave me an opportunity at least to meet up with me. You know, they were nice. They were courteous. They were respectful. So and they were polite in regretting also. So some also responded bad, regretting my proposal. I was just applying. From the internet, I was from Google, I was taking out their email IDs and applying, I don't know, indiscriminately I applied, but never got a chance, was never taken on board. And maybe the requirement was not there, maybe I was not considered a good fit there, or whatever the reasons were. And yeah, I thought too that it was glamorous or so, but I never got a chance to work in a law firm. I worked in individual law offices, um, locally placed in Chandigarh, and criminal law or whatever. My focus was I will join an office where my learning is maximum. And because this is my learning phase, I need to pick up. I have limited time, and I was very sure that within 2 3 years I should be at a position where I start earning. So these 2 3 years, I was like, each day was important for me to learn. And I was like hungry. I would go to them, ask for briefs, ask for draftings, ask for arguments. And slowly, steadily, there was this lawyer who was bold. He put me before the bench, that FIR matter that I have cited. There was another lawyer, the other office which I joined. He thought he should test me out with consumer cases. So he started sending me to consumer forums. And there I started arguing cases. I started gaining confidence. At least my application of law was tested. That gave me a lot of self confidence. Yes, all these law firms, big law firms, and all, they spell a lot of glamour. Uh, uh, but there's no dearth of hard work. Law firms may look very glamorous, but I think they law firm lawyers, they really work hard. It's like they work almost 24/7. So I mean, from a distance, they look glamorous, but I think there's no substitute for hard work. They really, really work hard. I've seen them working 24/7, 2 a.m.s, 3 a.m.s. I briefed counsels there. So there were times when, as an in-house counsel, I sat through during those hours. So I know how much hard work they put in. I mean, it may look very glamorous from a distance, but one thing is uniform for a lawyer, that is hard work.
Ma'am, just a follow-up question on that note. So, is the work-life balance better as an in-house counsel as compared to a law firm lawyer, or is it just the same, depends from organization to organization?
It may depend from organization to organization, but definitely work-life balance will be better in an organization comparatively. A law firm lawyers work very, very hard.
All right, ma'am. So the next question that we have here is from Kiran Chaube again. Ma'am, if we are interning in law firm, then should we start from research work first or litigation work? I think you've answered this, but still, if you would like to take this up again.
Yeah, sure. I think initially for few days they would like to give you some research work, and they will test your capability in research, and it also builds your perseverance and resilience. Lawyers have to be very high on perseverance and resilience. Results at times, be it litigation, be it your work, don't come across too fast, they come across, but and they are long term as compared to other professions. So research work they give you, but you need to set your priorities and goals, professional goals, that would you like to do research for work for the next 3 years? So you have to set your goals, your personal goals, and you have done research for 6 months, 7 months, or for a year, and then you need to go to the next level, or tell them, okay, I'll continue doing research also, and please give me some other work, maybe litigation also. Start balancing it out so that it will enhance your skills. You have to, nobody's going to come back to you and enhance your skills, you have to be a custodian of enhancing your own skills.
That's very well said, ma'am, that one has to be a custodian of enhancing their own skills. So, the next question that we have received is from Nemisha Tai. To what extent the understanding of finance is required for a career as an in-house? What all we can do to get that knowledge of finance?
Yeah, a very good question. I think your basic working knowledge of finance needs to be there. As lawyers, we don't have a finance subject in the curriculum, and I think that should be included. We only had tax in our times, and reading of balance sheets and reading of numbers, profit and loss accounts, what is profit before tax, what is profit after tax, all these basic knowledge. No, these terms that I'm speaking, I was like, these terms were quite, I didn't have any knowledge about these terms, to be honest. There are then organizations across felt that legal team needs to go through some certain trainings, like some basic finance for non-finance. So these basic trainings are available online also, and these basic trainings are imparted by the big four organizations also. They also organize these trainings and all. Be on a lookout of these trainings. I would say, as a student, be on a lookout of these trainings. There are 3 days trainings, there are 4 days trainings, and 3 4 days trainings are not enough because you tend to forget all that you pick up. Keep reading about all this, balance sheets, this, that. There are ample and more trainings online. So keep doing those trainings.
So, thank you, ma'am. So, the next question that we have again is from Shivani Patnaik. So, she's asking, ma'am, could you please elaborate on the career trajectory of an in-house counsel? Are there opportunities for secondment? Can an in-house counsel working in the Indian office transition to any of the global offices of the company?
I didn't understand the second part.
Uh,
One is the professional trajectory. What was the second part?
are there opportunities for secondment? I don't even,
Secondment.
yeah,
Secondment, okay.
okay.
And third is?
Can an in-house counsel working in the Indian office transition to any of the global offices of the company?
Yeah, good questions. And so, career trajectory can be, as I said, you may start with, depending upon the structure, as a legal counsel, then to a senior legal counsel, and then to a general counsel, so on and so forth, or as an executive, DM, AM, or manager, senior manager, general, and then, senior. Or if a company is divided into verticals of business, uh, very well, you may start off assisting a vertical of business under a relatively senior counsel, and then you can grow from there. As far as secondments are concerned, yes, there are secondments for junior, mid, senior levels, and where cross pollination across geographical boundaries is encouraged, and or across branches or regions within India is encouraged. That obviously adds to a professional knowledge. If you're working in a different territory, you learn more, you open your mind more, a lot of biases get dispelled, you unlearn a lot of things. What may work in a northern region, within India is a diverse country, what may work in a northern region in India may not work in a western region in India, and we have state specific regulations, rules, and all this. So it is learning and unlearning. Secondments are encouraged. In fact, some organizations they encourage it widely. And third is, do you get global opportunities? Of course, you do get. If you are working in a global organization and if you show your mind or intent that you want to work globally, you do get opportunities to work globally or on global projects, and definitely you do get opportunities within the organization. If the organization feels that okay, this person can be transferred and to a different jurisdiction, they do encourage that also.
Thank you, ma'am. So we have one last question from Shivansh Sharma. He asks, ma'am, do organizations look for work experience or are they open to hiring fresh graduates from law schools? I think you have already answered this, but again, if you would like to take this up.
Depends upon the opportunities which may come up. Or some organizations which are like high in hiring lawyers, that they have many lawyers, big teams, 45, 46 people team, or even some have 100 people teams. They have hirings across levels. They do hire at an entry level, then groom them further and all. I mean, one of the organization that I work for, they definitely hired at an entry level, and that is how the team was built and groomed. And today, I'm talking of around 16, 17 years back, and today I can say all those boys who and girls who were groomed, they are, most of them, majority of them are either second leads or leads in a legal department. So that happens. That's not unusual. You have to be on a lookout. So how you can search for jobs is put up your resumes on job portals, be in touch with the consultants, take down the number of the consultants, be in touch. All this, this is how you will build your career. But don't stop working till you find a job. Keep gaining experience, join a chamber with a good salary, not too good salary, don't care. Keep building your experience, because experience really sells in the market.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So now if any piece of advice that you would like to give us, apart from these questions that you deem are very relevant at our stage, please share if there's any piece of advice.
Three pieces of advice: be very sincere in what you're doing. um, there's no shortcut to success. And they are never short, short wins or quick wins. You have to, as a lawyer or as any other professional too, you have to work hard, persevere, and have resilience. These three things. And don't give up. It's a never say die attitude, all across. Be it you set up your own entrepreneurship. I call it entrepreneurship. Lawyers are, I think, when you join this course, you start developing that mind of entrepreneurship, because the first thing that comes to any student who joins is, I have to set up my practice. That starts building that. Be it your own law practice or your in-house job or a law firm job, it's the never say die attitude that will work for you. That has worked for me. That is going to work for any one of you. It could work for me. It can work for anyone. uh, don't get demotivated that if anyone is saying that, oh, you're not good enough, or if you're facing rejections, maybe you are not a right fitment for that organization. And there's always a saying, there's something bigger waiting for you somewhere. I got rejected multiple times, but there was always this silver lining, that there was something better and bigger waiting for me. So don't get disillusioned by these things.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So I request all the CCL members, since they have been very cooperative in holding this session, I request all the CCL members to kindly switch on their cameras. And ma'am, with your permission, we would like to take a screenshot and just to have
Sure.
as a vote of thanks.
I think all of the participants who are interested in switching off the
Yeah.
cameras can, yeah.
Yeah, all of the participants who are interested in switching on their cameras, please switch on your cameras. We will take a screenshot.
I don't think many are interested in switching on the camera.
Sunday morning, ma'am.
Yeah.
Comfort of the bed.
No, but a lot of students have switched on their cameras. I'm actually changing the layout. I'll take a screenshot. Just a second. Yeah. All right. Is it okay if I take a screenshot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anyone else wants to switch on their camera, they can. Yeah. Okay. Just one more time. I'm taking a screenshot. Please, everyone smile.
New times and new photographs.
Yeah. So thank you
I'm
so
sure
much,
it's
ma'am.
not Monday morning blues. We all have, when we are in a job, that Monday morning blues. After a weekend, we don't feel like working. So Sunday, so everyone should smile broadly.
So with this, ma'am, I duly thank you for enlightening us and for such an enriching session today. We all appreciate you for having our so many queries resolved, and your advice, especially to be hungry to learn and to marry business and law together, is truly exemplary. And I'm sure it is going to help us all in our journeys someday. So the audience might not know this, but ma'am has been extremely enthusiastic and cooperative about this session, and I really thank her for taking time for us, especially on a Sunday. And I sincerely thank CCL for wonderfully organizing this session. And thank you, ma'am. Thank you, CCL, and thank you, everyone, all the participants, for joining us today.
Thank you, Anishka. Take care. And thank you, everyone. Take care. Good luck. And any other advice, do let me know through Anishka. Would be glad to answer that. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone.